Promise you heaven shall kiss the earth. Ha! We didn't come to play games. We came to worship the Lord.
Jesus Celebration Center Youth Ministry Washa Camp, in conjunction with JCC TV, invites you to a night of intimate worship and overflow this Friday the 8th from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. at Jesus Celebration Center, Calvary Praise Cathedral. Ministering Dr. Ipiana from Tanzania and the JCC Youth Worship Team.
Oh, be lifted above all other God. Yes, we lay our ground and worship, say your glorious God.
Welcome to a night of encounter and tarrying in His presence.
I promise you heaven shall kiss the earth. Ha! We didn't come to play games. We came to worship the Lord.
Jesus Celebration Center Youth Ministry Washa Camp, in conjunction with JCC TV, invites you to a night of intimate worship and overflow this Friday the 8th from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. at Jesus Celebration Center, Calvary Praise Cathedral. Ministering Dr. Ipiana from Tanzania and the JCC Youth Worship Team.
Oh, be lifted above all other God. Yes, we lay our ground and worship, say your glorious God.
Welcome to a night of encounter and tarrying in His presence.
I promise you heaven shall.
And some truths are not said to you, or you want certain answer, and they never quite answer that deep question you have as this person who is growing up. A number of things happen within churches, and I don't know whether it happens here, but I do know that you'll see suddenly a young person working, single, disappears. And the next time they show up, they have a baby. They're still single. Something happened. The baby has no mistake. They came. But something happened somewhere. And sometimes those of us here, you'll say, I'm hitting 45, I'm hitting 40, I'm 30. My plan was by 28, I'm married, 2 children already down. And it's not happening. So you say, my biological clock is ticking away. My sell by date inaenda. So I better work at it now. So you decide to take things in your own hands. And so you involve yourself in certain things with one thing in mind, that I am just looking forward to having my own child. That's a trajectory that's been selling around for a while. It looks nice to be single with this child, whether male or female. That's a lie from the pit of hell. Because God knows, and He made it clear when He said, where 2 or 3 are gathered, He's there. So His plan was for 2. So when He puts husband and wife and a child comes, there's a grand plan that He has. So we know the wiles of the devil and the things he's trying to complicate in our lives that makes it very difficult for us to think forward. And because everybody's doing it, you see everybody, oh, that's my baby daddy, or that's my something. You know, everybody's talking about that language, and you're like, why should I be different? I'm still going to repeat things that you know, because you know them. And they come out of dating. And one of those is when one gets into premarital sex. And a lot of the issues that come up, one being pregnancy. And you don't know where to hide that bump. At a certain time, it cannot be hidden. At a certain time, you might consider taking a transfer even to Kana. So you see how your life gets unsettled. You say, let me just go to Bungoma, let me go to Bondo and hide there where nobody knows me. But I wonder whether you think that you can hide from the on high. Because that's the person we should be looking at. That's the one that we need to connect to and ask ourselves questions. So I have a lot of people who come to see me and they say, I am pregnant and I'm serving seriously in church. And one thing I'm thinking about is abortion. And it gives me, just the way I posed is the way I pose. Because I want to step into their shoes and understand where they're coming from. How did this start? I was dating, and it had been a while. And I found myself in this place. Yes, I am 39, but I found myself in this place. But I cannot afford to have this baby. I'll be the laughing stock. I will be the shame of this home. My mother will collapse. Everyone else who calls me sister so-and-so will be shocked. Especially when they find out who, brother so-and-so, who is in the church and how we got there. A whole complicated thing. That's another thing that comes out of our premarital sex. There are moments people have walked in with STIs. They are not able to see a doctor and look them in the eye. What is making them guilty is not so much that the doctor can tell that this is a born-again person, but the fact that the guilt starts eating at them. And all these things come out without us understanding that God intended it so well for us to have these relationships. Dating is not a bad thing. But do you know your boundaries? You could still be 40, 50, but do you know your boundaries? What do you allow when you choose to date? It has been said that those who do not even plan it well and find themselves in premarital sex have what they call future frigidity. You just lock up and cannot respond even when now you are properly married. You now go into that marriage and you cannot respond sexually to that person who becomes your partner. Because at the back of your conscience, something happened and it's still eating your mind. So if we are not able to take charge of our lives when we are still this young, even impotency happens to the men. When they realize, what did I do? Now suddenly they are not able to function. Why? Because it's all happens from our minds. I know by now you understand that even taking these risks of getting to that point of premarital sex, I'm going there intentionally, is the higher cancer rates, especially if you are much younger and you're the girls, and possible infertility. All these things happen. I realized with time that there was a reason why God intended us to do these things within a certain setup in marriage. I have also come across people who have had emotional and mental problems because of entering into dating and took dating to mean I can now have sex. And the biggest thing has been guilt. And they say, I cannot step anywhere near here. Even when they're called for prayers, they say, no, I cannot. And that's where it gets you. Guilt eats at you. So you're not even able to go to church. You're not able to look up and pray. Insecurity comes in, like you feel exposed. Now everybody knows my story. So I am not even worth it. Distrust comes in. So every man is the same. Every woman is the same. they get themselves into this situation. Low self-image. I couldn't wait, so I am just a useless person. Those things come into our minds. Sometimes anger, a lot of pent-up anger. And you're not able to bring it out and make people understand why you are angry. And sometimes you feel you have been used, or you are trapped, or lack of peace. Sometimes it's bitterness, plenty of bitterness, and loss of respect for whoever got involved. Dating is fun, and I will insist, it's so much fun. But as you go into this good thing called dating, you must come already loaded with your values. You don't go kupangwa. You go there, you have jipangad. Otherwise, utapangwa. Then you'll be shocked at the end of it. I feel sad when somebody, and many times when they walk in, it's because they feel there's that link. You can understand me, since we are both born again. And I feel so much pain that more so those of us who are born again find ourselves letting go of something you have held on to. If you look at the spiritual perspective and why people feel they cannot even relate with God, it's because it breaks that fellowship with God. You're not able to look up so freely as you did. But His word tells us that He will clean whatever was as red as crimson. We just need to understand that God forgives. But we need to know that where we get ourselves can really work against us. It burdens your heart towards God. It limits your usefulness. You are good usher, good in protocol, good in Sunday school, good with, but suddenly you feel, I can't even serve. My hands are dirty. I can't serve. I was that guy who did this. I can't serve. So as we date, it is allowed for us to date. But let us think ahead of what we don't want that will mess us up. It can help, it can keep you from entering the kingdom of God. Yes, there are people who got married, and in the Bible we have them. Somebody like David was so married, but you remember when he was very idle and walked onto his balcony, everybody has gone to war and he's taking his time just looking around. Lo and behold, he sees a beautiful woman taking a bath, and his eyes could not get off. And you know the story. At the end of it, he took in this lady. And one thing led to the other, and he knocked off the husband dead. And God had mercy on him. That's the truth. God did have mercy on him. But you and I know that he paid the price for that hour of pleasure. He really paid the price. His soul was so scarred with jealousy. But if you look at his family, there was so much incest in his family. There was murder in his family. That even if God had mercy on him, a lot of things followed his family. And I need us to understand that yes, God can have mercy on us, and He's a merciful God. But He expects that I have given you instructions in this book. Follow it. So that you don't come at the point of mercy now, set me free, Lord. Yes, He will, but there are repercussions as a result of what we get ourselves into. And we need to be aware of that. Having said that, let's be very open and say this, that men and women complement each other sexually. So even when we are dating, we need to be aware. We complement each other. But we have major differences. So as we get into this thing, let's be aware that for us females, if we get to the point where we do not understand ourselves or where we find ourselves going overboard, we are known to give sex for love. In the name for looking for love, we find ourselves saying, maybe nikipeana too, maybe he'll love me more. That's a myth. It doesn't work. They say men give love for sex. So there's always an acting. They will show that you want. Are you able to detect that and know, I know my boundaries and I'm not allowing them to cross here? For us ladies, our difference is we are slowly aroused. For men, it's quickly. So what do we do around them, even if we are there going on a date? For him to say, niwe ndo lianzisha hii story sasa. Haiko inatakana iende hivi. How are your boundaries set, even as we plan to date? Be aware of those things. For us ladies, we get excited through touch. Just that touch. Where are your boundaries? Should you choose? Touch does something. For men, they get excited through sight. So as you're seated there, how are you dressed? Are there things popping out from a certain area that prompts certain things to happen and you don't know how to control that? How about if you take charge from the word go, so that you are principled enough to say, as we sit there, we are discussing and talking and learning each other. And even as my heart goes boom, boom, boom over this person, it's not because of exactly what I've seen, but because of the value that I see around them. For females, we need romantic love. For men, they need physical release. That is how they see it. If he's based in church, grounded in the word of God, he knows where he should not go and how far he should not go so that that does not happen to him. For ladies, our sexual interest fluctuates. There are times we are so up there, feeling very good about this person, and there are times there's nothing, it's flat. For men, there's a constant sexual need. We are wired differently. And so we must understand that about ourselves. So we may feel pressured to become sexually involved before marriage to prove our worth. And I liked what one gentleman said in a meeting that we were in. He asked, do you test drive a Mercedes-Benz? If somebody told you take that Mercedes-Benz, do you say, let me test it first? I don't think so. You'd easily say, that one, I know I can take it home. And when I'm good and ready, I will drive it. So what are you? Unless you don't see yourself as one very posh car, if we can use that as an example. Meaning by the time you're told, get into this, let's see how you will operate. Those are the lies we are told. Are you okay? Can you operate? And this pressurizes our dating. So just remember, the Bible is very clear. You are to be holy and pure and avoid all sexual sin. So at this point, even as we are old enough, who are we hanging around? Yes, we are old enough. We are no longer teenagers. But who are we hanging around? Who are we speaking with? What notes are we comparing? The many times we hear about this person saying, I picked that one and dropped. And you're wondering, I have not even got one guy. I have not even. And in this generation of social media, we are always in touch with how many people are talking of love is in the air, and you keep questioning yourself. Who are you hanging around with? You become like your friends. And if you want to know the characteristics of a good friend, Find your time to look at Proverbs 12:9, 17:17, 18:24, 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4-7. Those verses will help you. Same, just to ask again, are you the good friend? And what are the kind of people that you should not date? The Bible has given us so clearly. If you go to the same Proverbs, verse 1-10, it has told us. Chapter 5, verse 3, chapter 6, verse 24 and 25. We may not look at them now. 23, verse 19 and 20. It tells you who you should not befriend. So what are some of the characteristics of the person you would prefer dating? Do you have a list even? I've often told the people who come for premarital counseling, did you have a list of who you want? Many times we have a list of what we don't want. What we don't want. Now, as you date, ask yourself, what do I want? When you send out what you want, it comes. When you give a list of what you don't want, believe me, it comes. So don't dwell on what you don't want. Say what you want. I want a church-going, born-again partner. That's what I want. I want someone who has a clear vision of where he would want to be in the next 5 to 10 years. I want someone who has value for family. That's how we state our values. So that when you're dating, unasikiza huyu mtu next to you. And you're ticking off or ticking in. And you know, hapa amescore 2 out of 5. And you begin to ask, is my journey okay with this person? What kind of activities would you do with this person? Now, this is where the problem comes in. Other than staring at each other day one, because that's the fun of dating, you can literally stare at each other and wonder like, wow, I didn't know this can happen to me. My stomach is doing games, my heart is flipping. But day 2, you cannot spend it staring at each other. What activities do you do? And where are you doing these activities? Something you need to ask yourself. There are many things to do. And I find like in Mombasa, there are so many things to do together. And in the open. So that we avoid these rooms that are causing us a lot of chaos. There is the beach. We have Hala Park, Butterfly Pavilion. We have Nguni Sanctuary where there are animals. I mean, we have all these hotels that we can sit and visit. Even if we don't have the money, at least we can afford the 2 sodas that we can keep on the table for a while. Because many people will say, hiyo pesa hakuna, so tulijipata hapa. Danger zones. And that's what I'll say. Being alone in an enclosed place, these are situations you should avoid. Even in a car or a room for long, please. Other than being born again, you are only human. Let's not test each other. So even if you're dating, know your boundaries. And you can tell, the evening has been so nice. We have laughed together. Where is the gap closing in? And you sense it. You should know where it should stop. Sometimes we have those parties around the estate. I know that where I stay, sometimes you'll hear a lot of parties. And I'm like, God, just help. Whatever is going on in there, let no one come out with something they had not planned for. Because you know the stories that go on there. Sometimes the dates are unplanned. Sometimes when they are unplanned, a lot of things happen. Because you are not planned for. Sometimes it's the movies and the TV shows we look at. And we get to a place where like, wow, that looked very interesting. What are you watching? And what are you sharing? As you date, ask yourself those questions. When you are done with all that has happened during your date, ask yourself these 5 questions. Will it help me be a better person? Will it help me be a better person, having sat with this person? What we discussed, is it healthy and good for my body? What does God say about it? Can I thank God for it? What would Christ do in the situation that I am in? If you are able to answer those questions, then you are able to date very easily. Some of you are not dating because you felt cheated from the word go. You hung on with your principles, and the other person crossed the boundaries and said, I couldn't wait for you. So you no longer trust. But I can assure you that was not the person. That was definitely not the person. So who is this right person? Now you want to date. Who is this right person? Is there ever a right person? Someone said this: don't worry about finding the right person, but concentrate on becoming the right person. Because you're always looking for this Mr. Right and Mrs. Right or Miss Right. You become that right person, because I believe that other person who is looking, you mutakutana somewhere halfway if you're looking for each other. In looking for the right person, I would say this: everyone is unique, so no one can determine whom they shall fall in love with. Everyone seated here is so unique. And sometimes you look at a person like this and say, I can never fall in love. That one, Kwanza. Those stories happen. And then finally you find those two are the ones who fall so madly in love and get married. You know what happened? I had not even planned. But the more I stayed with this guy, the more I stayed with this lady, I saw so many things, so many values, so many principles around, and I just liked the way, and finally they fall in love. So you cannot say that there are these cliques of people I cannot fall in love with. If you come from there, I cannot fall. If you go to, I cannot fall in love. You know your principles. Keep them, so that as you date and as you find this person, walk with this idea that everyone is unique. But go with your list of priorities. There are specific things people must look at before committing their life to another. That's the list I'm saying you must always have. So what happens is that we see the physical looks, but besides the physical looks and the attraction, what does one really admire in that person? Hapo ndo pale huwa tunakosea. And we get shocked when we have said I do. Ningejua, haki ningejua. That's what we say. I wish I knew. If you had a list which you have prayerfully given before God and said, this is what I desire, knowing you have your flaws, then something is going to spark you to get to know that person beyond their good figure, beyond his six-pack. Because that six-pack can change just like that. And that good figure after baby one, when you're married, can change. But what values do they have? And what principles? What are their strong points? Those are things you must ask. Do they have strong points? This is in line with looking for the right person. Do they have their strong points? If you're told by your friends, why do you like this lady? Are you able to say, number one, this lady is a prayer warrior. Number two, she gives her service in church. Number three, she's so good with children. She's natural. Number four, the things she tells me she cooks in that home of theirs. Number five, I have seen how she treats people around. The respect. You know, are you able to? But for some of you, it's so easy for you to say, have you seen her legs? No one has those legs here. Nionyeshe mtu ana miguu kama yake. Have you seen her eyes? Those eyes can only compete with a cow. Have you seen her smile? Hakuna kama hiyo. So yours is all physical. Are you able to talk about attributes that are not physical? What are their weak points? Because we all come packaged with our weak points. What are they? Are you able to point them out? Say it. I have seen, like when I'm late for a date, she looks very irritated. So it spoils our evening. It is a strong point because that means she keeps time, but it is a weak point in the sense that she's not patient. Are you able to tell those weak points? Count the weak points and count her strengths and his strengths. Spend time with them to observe them. Don't be too fast. Many of us, after 3 dates, you're saying, "Hii kidole iko karibu kupata ring. Keep waiting, I'll be waving at you soon." You have not even known that person. The guy is even saying, "Hizi nguo hata sina wasiwasi. Very soon, after the church service, and we are married, kuna mtu atakuwa naziosha na zinyorosha. I'm going to be fine." You have not even taken time to spend to know this person. Spend time. There is no hurry. While I know this is a generation of quick things, and we've seen it, very expensive weddings, 3 million, 5 million. 6 months later, it's crushed. And it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. How do they handle you in different situations? Do they notice the little effort you put in to look nice? Do they even compliment you? The man has brushed his shoes. His belt is nice looking. He has bought it. And even as he stands up and tells you, "I'm going to the washroom," he's hoping you'll say, "Your belt." You don't see. You don't notice his haircut. You don't see his shirt, the way it is neatly. You don't see. Those are telltale signs when you're dating. That somebody cannot even give you a compliment. Mpaka useme, "Leo hizi viatu, hizi ni zile nilinunua." "Oh, so you have new shoes, okay." Hiyo kala poa, lakini ungenunua kala, unajua, ya brown hivi ingekufaa. They are called backhanded compliments. Unamcompliment mtu huku na huku unararua. And it's sometimes very painful. But those are the things you watch out for. If they're already slicing you, don't think it will get better when you're married. It won't change. It won't change. How does she or he use his money? Those are key things for you to note when you're dating. How are they using their money? You went on a date, yes. Did you do a budget? Did he tell you where he was taking you? And he's just touring. You're like, this guy, the way he's talked about being broke, he didn't have rent for his house last month. Is this really necessary? Those are red flags that you should take note of. Because if that's how he is behaving now, lo and behold, when you get married, you will be the one trying to plan the finances and things are just crashing. On the other hand, ni mkonogam. He tells you, "Come for tea." And you know what level he is and where you are and where you normally go for tea. Anakupeleka to some place there, you're like, "Ay, is this where we are coming for this tea?" Hapa chai yao, you won't believe, pale wanauzanga 60, hapa ni 20. Why should we go there? Telltale signs. And it's tea. So if you buy mandazi, he says, "Actually, I budgeted for tea." So in mandazi utalipia. Those are points for you to look out for. But if you had discussed and he told you, "I would like us to meet, and I have this amount of shillings. Nikuna so mbili tu, but I really want us to meet. Is it okay if we go to this place?" You say, "It's okay. We can afford a cup of tea. Is that okay? Unaweza kula na ndao mbili ama mahamri." That's okay. So you, the lady, cannot dare now start ordering for your chips and the kuku and whatever. And I know dates that have gone bad because of such behavior. in a school that I was in before I went into college. Just after Form 6, many of us would go into schools to teach. And this mwalimu who thought alikuwa amewai, he said, nimewai dem moja. Hey. He went downstairs where we were teaching was an upstairs on top of a coffee shop. And down there he met the lady. She came with 4 friends. And we knew how much he had. He was going to afford the chips for himself and this girl. She came with 4 friends. So what did he do? As they were eating and he finished his, he told them, just give me a minute. Through the kitchen, Uyo. And he left them in that cafe to sort themselves out. I think I read a story like that some 2-3 weeks where some ladies did that to some guy. This is a problem that is common. And guys, take note. Don't say, akikuja siku ile she'll be my wife, ataingia box. Ataingia, that is what she knows. So when you're dating, these are telltale signs. And there are things that make you say, I can't afford, so I will not date. Some of us are like that. I can't afford this, so I will not date. And you're miserable and you're lonely. But if you declare your stand from the word go, that person you're interested in likes that. And they will flow with that. How does she treat other people? Whether they are family members, friends, house helps, admin staff at work, watch them. Just watch how they treat people. It tells you a lot. Even that beggar who comes knocking on the car window like this when you are driving. Potelea huko kwenda chafu wewe. That tells you something. While there can be sometimes a nuisance, they can really hit on how is that response? How do they talk to the admin staff? How do they talk to house helps? I'm from home, but I'm so annoyed. That kunguru of a house help who washed my socks. Useless kabisa. I wish we could throw her out. That's telling you something. How they treat people helps you know whether you'll put a tick in your dating box. Take time to know what professional work means to them. What does professional work mean to them? When they go to work, how much time do they spend there? Say, babe, niko home, mimi nimeshindwa kufanya kazi bwana. Kwanza boss hayuko. Boss alisafiri. Mimi nimehepa. You want a guy like that? That tells you something about them. And you need to be very aware and know how to tackle them. What do they hope for in future? To do in the future? To study or to travel? Ask those questions. Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Instead of discussing how nice his fingers look, and instead of discussing how nice her hair is, those are the questions you ask in those dates. Ask, una mpango gani? What do you see? And he says, I was thinking, I get an old lorry. My plan is if I can get sold from Malindi and transport it to Uganda, if I had a way, huyo ni mtu tayari, you can tell us a vision. He may be far from it, but you know that hata kama mtaanza na stool moja kwa nyumba, one day when you're married, this is someone going far. When they don't have a vision, you know what the Bible says. To know them better, spend time together in different situations. So don't only know him when you're having parties and enjoyment. Sijui mnaenda wapi. In different situations. How is he in church? Is he looking at his watch all the time? He service bwana. 2 hours. Hey. But when you're at the party, 6 hours, 7 hours. Tulienda kwa sijui grandmother has called you all together. He does not even want to leave. But now in church, 45 minutes later, anasema, na hupa asosi anaendelea tu sana. Kwani hii story yaishi. Tushasikia basi about Musa. That tells you about his stand with spiritual things. Does he want to serve? Those are things you should ask yourself. Does she want to serve? Is she impatient? Does she have excuses every time you tell her, let's go to church. Okay? A man will sacrifice everything before he gets a woman. Once married, he settles to his normal routine, which means work takes priority. Ladies, take that to the bank. A man is a hunter, naturally. Naturally. And by the time he sees you and he wants you, and he says, this is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with, and he does the right thing and brings you to church, and before God makes it official. Once you are married, please be aware there is something called work. So you may be a priority, but his work takes priority. I know many homes that have problems because the woman says, mbona linidanganya. I used to be his everything. First thing in the morning call, lunchtime call. Now, work for a man is important, and that's how they view life. Once they've pursued, you are there, you are part of him, but his work is important. And communication is important. So during dating, talk about the past. Please know the past of whoever you are dating. Kuna watoto wengi wamefichwa nyumbani. You get to know that this girl you are dating kumbe has a firstborn, 12 years old, who one day gets to say, actually, this is my mother, and shock on you. Find out the past about this man. Maybe for him he has 2 others, and perhaps a wife up country, and you didn't know. Find out about the past. Was he involved in drugs? And he came out clean. Because if he is clean, and he's clean because he has gone for detox and he's clean. And he's also clean because he has been given his victory through Christ Jesus. Then you cannot condemn him. But get to know the past of this person. Things that have affected one, whether they are good or bad, get to know the past. Get to know their educational background. These things may look small. They affect marriage. And I'm not saying that the woman should be somewhere and a man should be. If you are okay with that, what he has said. I stopped at Form 4. And from Form 4, I took myself to start this business. And here you are, you're even pursuing your doctorate. Sasa unangalia unasema huyu. But are you able to communicate? Is this someone you're able to reason with at that intellectual level? Then that's what counts. It's not that he should be above you in terms of, but you need to know. But if he lies that, you know what, I was in campus, which one? He never mentions. Or if he mentions today, it is this year, next year, it is which year, he's so confused. Why is he hiding? What is he ashamed of? Talk about the past, whether good or bad. Talk about educational background. Talk about the close friendships. Because his friends and your friends, the ladies' friends, they say a lot about you, about that person. And the attachments. Because there you are dating deep, now you are going into courtship. And some woman appears, this is my man. Some man appears, oh, I just went to America, but this was my woman. What happens? Did you even talk about it? But if you talked about it, you're able to say, you remember this gentleman, Albert. You remember Albert? This is the one I was telling you. I dated a while back. I thought we were going somewhere in Kitoa. So for me, it ended. So you see that person is, oh yeah. But now when it comes, no, sikukuelezea, sikuona haja. So now this person begins to wonder, what else have you not told me? So in dating, these are things that come up. Issues in the family that affected the person you're dating is very important. Never look down on them. Have fathers disowned them? Have they been told you don't come to this home anymore? Those are things that you need to know as you date. So much as this was asked for me to talk about, I think it's important for you to ask yourself a number of questions concerning that person that you want to talk about. Get to date. Talk about the present. And it's important. What are they about in this present time? What are they doing? What activities are they involved in? If they are not with you, who anadu nini? Kama yuko job. I mean, me relax, tu nimechill, niko tu kwa hii kitanda. A little slumber. What does it say? A little folding of the hands, and what sets in? Poverty. So unajiuliza maswali, huyu jamaa yuko serious. He's ever in bed tu ana chill. That's all. But if he's chilling because he's had a long week of work, it's important. What's their financial position? Both ladies and gentlemen, what are their financial position? Do they have loans they are servicing? Are they taking care of people in the family? Get to know who you're getting involved with so that you know how to plan ahead. Akikwambia majukumu yangu ni mengi na hazitawahi kuisha. Please know that when you choose to marry that person, you're marrying the whole village. Be prepared. You'll take care of that shosho, you'll take care of the guka, you'll take care of which auntie Nani who took him to standard 1, take care of who. And he'll say, I told you from before. Okay? The values that they hold, even as they're in church. There are people who will say, I will go to church faithfully, but hakuna siku nitaserve kwa ministry. And don't start it now. Staki kujua. Mine is to enter, be fed, and go. Is that what you want as a partner? Ask yourself. If you're okay with that, fine. But find out about the present. And then find out about the future. Because the Bible says, once you're married, you live and cleave. You go and stay with that person. Is he willing? Is she willing? Or does she tell you that I must come in with my mother to that house? Me pale nitaolewa, you're dating, but she's saying, hey, the way my mother has suffered. The day I get married, huyo mama naenda naye kwangu. Are you prepared for that? Those are things you must ask yourself. Okay? Talk about children. These are things that don't come up. Talk about them when you're dating. Even if you're not seeing, but it gives you an idea, do I push this on or not? Do I want to have children? I was shocked when a couple who have 3, 4 children now, and the man openly told me, I never wanted children. They are very born again, very strong in their belief in God. But he said, I never wanted children. I don't know how to relate to children. So I don't, now I'm being pressurized. Watoto wako teenagers, you need to talk. I don't know what to tell them. I never wanted. Did you say it before? How? Why should I have said? I just never wanted. Now, the wife is stressed because she feels, man, take these boys, sit with them, you need to talk. He's saying, I can't. Sijui vile. I don't know and I will not try. Those are things that come up later. Talk about them. Ndio ujiulize, huyu mtu ambaye anasema, I don't want children. You know, there are women who are very open and they say, I don't want children. Yet, this is what God intended for marriage. But what if you get a partner who says that and they're very born again? And they say, I don't want children. I don't mind every other child. I don't mind keeping them and saying hi to them. But me, you're stuck. I don't want that noise. Are you going to be able to take in that? So don't force it. If it can't work at that point, just know, apana, it can't work. Because those things. What about the gender of the child? Those are things that come up. I know they are brought up in premarital counseling. At that point, unajua ushaingia 1 foot is deep in. So unasema, that's the time she's saying, I'm okay with getting, even if I get a girl, and the man is saying, there must be a boy. Boy atatoka wapi? And he's the one who has the X and Y chromosome. Anyway. So what is he saying? There'll be a problem should one gender be missing. And what if it's only one child that comes out of that marriage? Those things are thorny issues that must be discussed. And how you will raise the children. You know, we never talk about these things. How you will raise the children. I married a sportsman, and I know that it was very difficult when I tried to involve him at one point. I said, I'm the one who's always doing homework. Kwa sababu mimi nimekuwa mwalimu miaka mingi. Let me just release these children wakae for once with the father. I regretted. I know I was in the shower. But I know I couldn't even shower properly. Unajua sportsmen can be very rigid in the way they... Umepata hapa? Twende kwanza. Now he was being taken to Psalms which were not even part of the maths homework. And I could not hear the child's voice. When I came out, he was in tears. And I could tell this boy was so stressed. And I told myself, hiyo nimejaribu cannot work. That was the last time. I knew this is not his direction. But ask yourself, how do we want to raise these children? Do we want to be strict children? The parents who just point, this is the direction. Do you want to involve them as they grow older? When you're dating, because soon there'll be marriages coming out of this, those questions need to be asked. Don't wait until whoever is taking you through premarital counseling is struggling with trying to make things clear to you. One thing that is never discussed is death. Even when you're dating, nobody imagines their partner can die. Ngumu sana. But do you know it's an important point to raise? When you're dating, just you say, supposing we get married, lafu. You know, as Africans, that is an area we never go to. And even when somebody dies, there's always a reason why they died. Even when the doctor said it is medical, they will always point. Alienda nyumbani, aliporudi ndo alikufa. Some implication of something. And that is the truth. But I'm saying this. All these things need to be discussed. So that you're not shocked. You will get a husband like the late Safaricom CEO who says, I want to be cremated. You'll get a man who says, after you are married, and you're like, no way. But if they had said it, should this happen? For me, I see cremation. You know what your stand is. If they say, put me in a boat and put me in the ocean and I just rock away, you will know what that means for you. But you need to talk about these things. If it's a lady and she says, I will not be buried anywhere except where I came from, and yet she's now married, what does that mean for you? So death is an area that needs to be talked about. I hope up to there I'm very clear. How many minutes do I have? I didn't ask this time. Just kindly let me know. I know I don't want to stretch beyond. I'm almost done anyway. One of the things that was also mentioned to me to discuss is, I'll skip this. Yes, just the last bit. A lot of, one question that I was told is there's a lot of space. We are not yet working, or we desire to work, but work is not there. What should we do with that time? I am so ready with the skills I've been taught, but then what? And I have one like that in my house. Studied, finished his university, cleared it just as COVID was starting, and I can see the frustration. At 2 years, he has got work, coming once, twice, but he's asking, when will I work? I have sent 150 applications. Only one has responded with a negative. I have gone for 3 job interviews. And this one even told me, the Mombasa office is ready. Are you ready? Are you willing to go there? And then silence. And it's affecting a lot of young people. It's called the quarter life crisis. A lot of youth who are expecting to work and are not able to work because work is not present. When you look around, people say, tafuta kazi. You shouldn't be employed. You look for work and then employ people. Where do you begin? And that's the truth. You have a lot of energy, but there's no work. And the worst thing about it is that your generation is fully on social media. So when you're reading what people are doing and how involved they are in the work they do, kawaru, you swallow a hard one and say, "Oi, I'm suffering. Everybody's working except myself." And that's the bad thing about social media. We only give the good things and pretend. So you post it on Facebook, me on duty at sijui where, maybe Safaricom. Maybe Safaricom walikuita tu siku hiyo peperushe bendera yao and pay you some 5,000, but now you want to tell the world, I am at Safaricom. That's that generation. So you'll post it and post, and oi, hata fulani, hata ye hata kumaliza form 4 na hakona job. Those are the things that are eating us up. And depression, anger, loneliness, hopelessness, uselessness, and all the lessness is setting in. And so we are getting a lot of mental health issues that are coming in. What do I do with myself? What do I do with myself? And I like what 2 Timothy 1:7 says. We have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. You will not fear, even in your season of waiting. You will not fear. There is something cut out for you. It may take a while. And that's what I keep telling the young man in my house. It may take a while. He says, "Mom, should I be in your house now, honestly? How does it feel? What wawili wana madevu? He sees his father coming out, he's himself." I said, "But I'm your mother, I've not complained. But I know the desperation of charting your own lives. But you know, you've spent a whole day here. For those of you in that situation, if you're in that situation, you've spent a whole day there, here. Maybe a whole week. You have kept busy, sharpening your skills, sharpening your soul. So it's not in vain. So one thing I'll say, get busy. There is never a place you will never find to be busy. Offer your services. Each one of us is good somewhere. You're creative in this and that. Find yourself doing something about it. Just to get your mind and that fulfillment coming out of your system that, I feel good I did this. And the service can be in church. How many of you just think of, let me arrange, okay, the seats are arranged, but maybe clean them. Let me make sure the stools are clean. Let me just go and find out if media needs help, I'm good in that area. Let me just find out from the kitchen if that volunteering of service, that's within church. Have you thought of volunteering in a hospital? They need hands. Sometimes they just need someone to say, just take the trays to the sick people, to their beds, and then bring them back to the kitchen. Volunteer. In the process, somebody will ask, "You have such polite language. How long have you been here?" And you're like, "Actually, I'm just new, I'm volunteering." "Really?" And this is somebody in bed, and they're like, "Really? What do you do?" "I'm a lawyer by profession, but I haven't started. Come and see me. I'll be out of this hospital on Monday. This is my card." Volunteer, be seen in places. That job won't come through the roof in the house. Step out, and you'll be shocked at what is waiting for you. So step out. In that house that you are living in, please help. There are some of you who say, hata sitaki kushika kitu, nimeboeka sana. Where you threw your socks is where they are. Where you put your cup of tea 2 days ago, I'm so frustrated. The whole world must know I'm frustrated. Whoever is paying for that rent is equally frustrated by seeing your dirt all over. But do you imagine when I walk in as a mother, I find this young man, the one in my house is a very good chef, akipika, and I hold him and I say, "God bless you, my son. I am depositing something." What I'm saying is those parents you're living with who see you so idle and frustrated, And yet they see you going a mile extra to set that home in order. Hauna kazi, but kuna kazi unafanya. When they're in that room and they're kneeling down, you do not know what happens. That where your job has been held in those realms, itafika, because someone is praying. But when she walks in and, lakini hii nyumba jamani, and I have this 29-year-old hapa. Sasa hii ndio ni, hii si nile kikombe jamani. All jamani doesn't deal you good. So get busy even in your house. Develop other skills. Some of you are good at driving. How many of you are saying, I'll wait, skule tu nikipata job hivi, salo ya kwanza driving. How about now? Hata ile kidogo. Driving school is very, very flexible. And it gives you a high. You know, when you're there trying to drive, and even if you don't have a car. I know that even before I bought my first car and I went for driving school, I would drive with a matatu driver. When he would brake, I'm braking with him. Then I imagine gear 1, 2. That time they were not as, they were manual. So I'm saying, this is how I shift. And I think, kumbe, you're chatting your way to get a car. Get some skills going. For those of you who are good in computers, fine. Those of you who are not, get going there. How about soft skills? There are so many churches right now giving free soft skill development. Things to do with time management, things to do with branding, personal branding, etiquette. How do you eat? How do you use a fork and knife? Because children of the kingdom are taking over, and we take over with style. You must know these skills. It is not your A that will give you the top job. It's those skills. Go and look for those things and hone up and see yourself doing well. Join a book club. In Mombasa now, there are several book clubs. Toastmasters Club. They are meeting, I think, is it called Water something in Nyali? They meet there, and they train how to do presentation skills and all these things. So with your A, if it's an A you got, with your big certificate from the university, you're already coming armed with other skills, and you become very marketable. Just be found to be doing something. Take time to be adventurous. Swim. Go for those nature walks. Whatever it is, you're likely to meet someone who is going to connect you somewhere. And that is what I would like to finish with. Thank you so much for listening in. God bless you as you chart your way forward.
Kiss the earth. We didn't come to play games. We came to worship the Lord.
Jesus Celebration Center Youth Ministry Washa Camp, in conjunction with JCC TV, invites you to a night of intimate worship and overflow this Friday the 8th from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. at Jesus Celebration Center, Calvary Praise Cathedral. Ministering Dr. Ipiana from Tanzania and the JCC Youth Worship Team.
Oh, be lifted above all other gods. Yes, we lay our ground and worship, say your glorious God.
Welcome to a night of encounter and tarrying in